Hi everyone, I'm Steve Tyndall, founder of the Beelieve Foundation and head teacher of the Holy Family Catholic Primary School in Addleston. Today I've got a very, very special treat for you as I welcome Great Britain Paralympic swimmer Hannah Russell. She's joined me for a chat. Hannah is a multiple Paralympic gold medalist, world champion and a world record holder in the S12 category for 100 metre backstroke. And she's a former pupil of Holy Family School. Hannah, it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to welcome you back to Holy Family once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, you were here a couple of weeks ago to speak to the children. So how did it feel to come back to your old primary school to share your fantastic success from Tokyo?
It was brilliant to come back to Holy Family after achieving my third Paralympic gold medal, going to my third games. For me, it's all about inspiring the younger generation, and to be able to come back to my primary school and to just see the children's face light up listening to my achievements was absolutely brilliant.
Well, you certainly do inspire our children. I know in the lead up to the Paralympics this year, everyone was talking about you. The WhatsApp was going crazy the day before your races, and I know a lot of the children were watching on the day. I think there was a lot of noise in Addleston going on, so that you certainly do that. Now, I know you had your heart set on being a swimmer from a very early age.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about when and how you first started swimming?
Definitely. So I was born with my visual impairment, so it's a congenital condition, and I come from a very sporty family. I was introduced to swimming at the age of 2 when I was on a summer holiday. I jumped into the pool and absolutely adored the water, renowned for a water baby. And at the age of 4, I joined Woking Swimming Club and never really looked back from there. So joined the club and then just took the swimming lessons from there. In year 3 at Holy Family School, my primary school teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I actually drew myself as a swimmer age 7, and it's proudly presented on the wall at my family home. And I always relate to that whenever I come into schools, because I managed to achieve my dream and I stuck to it for 13 years and became Paralympic champion in Rio. Yeah,
it's an incredible example for young people that you had that aspiration. Was there anything on the way in your life that might have toppled swimming as your favourite thing, or were you just definitely swimming?
I'd definitely say sport-wise, I was always a swimmer. I just adored the water. It was a sport for me where I felt really safe, so that's the sport why I decided to stick with it and, you know, progress further and further throughout the years. It was a sport where I felt I was able to excel. Because of my sight, I was limited to be able to, you know, do sports which had contact in them, such as netball, football. I had to, you know, put those aside because they just weren't very safe.
Yeah, it's a fabulous story, because last week we had an inspirational young man who didn't understand and realise he had a talent for running till he was 19 years old. And we spoke to the children about, at some point you will find your real passion and love in life. Is that a message you would like to give to children? Yes,
definitely. Always, there's always going to be something which you'll be, you know, which will be your. I'll re-say that bit. Sorry. There's always going to be something which, you know, the children will aspire to. There's always going to be their dreams. And as I went into schools and when I went to Holy Family, one thing I always related to was the picture of when I painted that at the age of 7. I always asked the children, what would you like to be when you grow up? Because everyone has their aspirations and dreams, and what's important is, yes, I became a Paralympic champion in swimming, but it doesn't have to be sport, it doesn't have to be swimming, it could be absolutely anything. It could be creative writing, it could be maths, it could be drama, sport, you name it. There's always going to be something which everyone will you know, find themselves with.
I totally agree. Now, as you look back and reflect on the many incredible successes you've had in the pool, how do you feel about that journey from a young swimmer at Woking to Paralympic champion, world champion and a world record holder? How does that make you feel?
I'm so proud of all my achievements to date. You know, there's always a team behind the team and the hard work which comes with it, along with the sacrifices. I'm now 25 years old and I've been in the sport for 18 years. So, you know, the journey has been long. It's not always been smooth running. There has been, you know, ups and downs throughout the way. And something I think which I'd like to highlight is things aren't always going to be easy in the journey, but it's always about never giving up in your ability. You know, for me, I've lost more races than I've won. Yes, I've become Paralympic champion and I've got the world record to my name, although I've lost, more times, and it's from those maybe failures, which you might call them. You learn so much more from the failures and you bounce back, and it's about that bouncing back and the learning what strives you to become better. You do become better as you learn more. So I'd say the races which I may have not done so well, or for myself I might have not been as happy with, I learned so much more on those occasions than even when I won. So I'd say that part of my journey is all about learning. I'm always learning.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, we always say to children that getting to the top, being successful, is very, very difficult. But one of the most remarkable things that I admire about you is that you kept going and you repeated success over, as you say, a long time. You've been swimming a long time, and 3 Olympics back to back is a long period of time. Can you just run through sort of your major titles, what you're really proud of? Just because it's a tremendous career you've had.
So I've been in international swimming for over 10 years. And I've been to 3 Paralympic Games, multiple World and European Games as well. And my proudest achievements would be becoming Paralympic champion for the first time in Rio, whilst also breaking my current world record. And then to date, my Paralympic gold medal in Tokyo. For me, that is my proudest moment, because the build up to the Games, the 5-year build up and the cycle was very, very different, and that I was throwing with some challenges, although I overcame them and achieved my dream once again.
Yeah, and you've made reference already to the fact that it's never a smooth and easy road. Life is not smooth, but certainly getting success is not easy. There have been many obstacles for you. How have you managed to maintain that motivation to get up at 5 o'clock and the focus during the really challenging times you've had?
I think for me, what has motivated me is, I set goals, and my goal this season was to go to the Paralympic Games in Tokyo and achieve and retain my Paralympic title. That is the thing and the motivation which got me out of bed every morning. But something to add to that is resilience. I feel that over the past couple of years, I've built a lot of resilience from the times where I might have found challenging. I've always, bounced back, and I think bouncing back is where my resilience has just grown further and further. And the Games itself in Tokyo, I think that showed in my performance, in the fact I just never gave up, kept believing, and just showed everyone that just never give up and always believe in your ability.
Yeah, I think what we found really remarkable about that swim in Tokyo was you clearly practiced a game plan, if you like. You knew exactly what you had to do, and you appeared to execute that to perfection. Would that be a fair analysis of that race? Yeah,
so obviously when you're watching the TV and you're watching the final performance, that's what, the wider population, they watch the final of the race, the 100-metre backstroke. For me, the final on the TV, and that's all you see. You see typically the renowned as the tip of the iceberg, but you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and that's what viewers are always interested in. And the amount of training I had to do to try and perfect my turns, my finishes in the race, in my 100-metre backstroke, the practice was endless. In training, I do 24 hours of training a week, and after every swim session, I stayed behind for an extra 10 minutes, and I continuously practiced my turns, practiced how many strokes in, and my underwater phase, which for people who might not be as familiar with swimming, it's the phase where you're travelling under the water and you're only allowed to travel up to 15 metres, and that aspect of the race is crucial, because you can win and lose on the race on that aspect. So I think that practice makes perfect, definitely, and it managed to pay off.
Yeah, that underwater phase was pretty stunning in that final. So I guess children, there's a really important message. Young people, practice, so that when you get to the big day and the big events, you have that those skills and that expertise behind you. One of the things that young people sometimes find difficult is when they reach that moment of performing, that they might get nervous. Now, do you have any advice for them? Because I saw you on the blocks talking quite whispering to yourself, so you're talking through things. Any advice to young people about how those final preparations before you take a dance exam or you get on the stage to sing, how do you deal with that?
So just a bit of background is, you see me day in, day out training. I'm always training my body, but it's really important to also train your mind to compete. And I work really closely with the sports psychologist. So that's a person in the team who, helped me as an athlete to train my mind ready to perform. And as you mentioned, you saw me behind the block sort of muttering to myself. I had a lot of people again questioning, what were you actually thinking behind the block? So I visualise quite a lot before I race. I am typically someone who does get quite nervous before a competition. So I do stand behind the block and I have a bit of a ritual. What I would typically do, I will visualise how many strokes I am doing throughout the first 50 until the turn, and then I visualise my turn, visualise how many kicks I do underwater. So the bit where you saw me counting behind the block is actually me counting how many kicks am I doing underwater to make sure I get it spot on, because if I don't, I could crash into the wall. And another few things which I also do is listen to music. So for me, listening to music makes me feel relaxed before I swim, and makes me forget about everyone around me. I'm in my own little bubble, and I'm just focusing on the race itself. I typically make my own playlist. So a lot of children have their favourite songs, their favourite artists. So I group mine together, and there's a certain playlist which I will always play before I race.
Yeah, fantastic. So there's a really important message, young people, children. Training the mind is really important. And I remember the wonderful American golfer Phil Mickelson, who he had a slump, relatively slump in form. He went into visualising all his shots on the course and came back and won the US Masters. So it really does work in whatever walk of life you're involved in. Now, I know, Hannah, just how important your family and friends are to you in your life and on your swimming journey. It's a great reminder to everybody out there that you can't do anything on your own. You have to have people around you. So tell me a little bit about some of the things they've done and the difference it's made to you.
My support bubble and my family, my friends, the team behind the team have been crucial and vital in my performance. Without their support, without their help, I would nowhere near have been able to achieve what I have done in my career so far. The support, when I was younger, relating to children at primary school, secondary school, my parents played the role of driving me to training every morning, in the afternoon, and just the support on that journey, but also to cover something on the sideline is people at school, my teachers, the dinner ladies at school, like everyone. There's a massive team behind the team. It's not just necessarily people in swimming, but there's a wider team which expands, and everyone just has a massive role in supporting.
Yeah, and I know when you've been successful and you've won medals, how much that means to you, for your family, so they can celebrate with you. Do you ever feel additional pressure because of that sort of expectation, or not wanting to let people down, I guess? Because young people often talk about that. They think that can be a little bit challenging for them.
Yeah, I definitely have an element of pressure. I always feel pressure before I'm competing, and I'm such a family girl. I love my family. I'm so close to them that I just want to make them proud, and that's always what I've wanted to do throughout my swimming career. Yes, I do my sport for myself, but also so much for my family. I want to be able to give back to my family, give back to my friends, everyone who supported me. All those hours, all those early mornings, and before I race, I always, their support just means so much, and the fact that I'm able to achieve and make them so proud makes me proud also.
Yeah, I think the medals are certainly the cherry on the icing on top of the cake, aren't they? Because at Beelieve Foundation, we always say to young people, if you give everything you've got and you work as hard as you can, those who love you will be exceptionally proud of you. So regardless of whether you bring a medal back or you win a race, your family are proud. I think that's a really important message for young people. It's not about winning all the time, it's about giving of yourself, and that will make people proud of you. Always?
I definitely echo that in the fact that it's always, participation. I've been involved in sport for so many years, and as I previously mentioned, I've not won all my races. Yes, I've won a few of them, but it's always about taking part and always giving your absolute best, and that's all you can ever do, and you've always got to be proud of that. And yeah, my family, everyone else's family, regardless of, places in sport, like whether you come first, second, third, it's irrelevant. It's all about enjoyment and making sure that you put in all the effort.
That's it. You can only ever do your best, young people, and if you do that, no one will ever criticise you or feel disappointed. Now, for the last few years, Hannah, you've been living, studying and training in Manchester, which is a place I know really well, having been brought up there. Can you tell us about the challenges of moving away? You are a real strong family girl. So moving away from home must have been difficult, but also maybe some of the benefits and opportunities that's presented you.
Yeah, so I moved up to Manchester at the age of 18 after I went to a boarding school and specialising in swimming. And for me, it was a bit of a challenge moving up to Manchester. As you mentioned, I am a huge family girl, but it was one sacrifice I knew I had to make the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. And if I wanted to achieve my dream, which was becoming Paralympic champion, I had to make that sacrifice, for those few years leading up to the Games. And now I'm still in Manchester years later. And some of the other challenges I'd probably say, which I faced in Manchester, is getting to know a new city. My sight is limited, and I was sort of I was thrown into the deep end, really. A new city. I live in a little village here in Surrey, and I was sort of presented into a massive city. Although I had so much support behind me, I was someone personally who was quite shy before moving to Manchester, deep down, and I used to hate asking for help. I could not bear asking for help. I struggled to see the buses, I struggled to see the numbers on the buses, the trams, you name it. Even walking down the streets, it's quite a struggle. But I learned very quickly that it's okay to ask for help, and that's something which I've done ever since. And I'll go to the train station now and I'll say, hi, is it okay if you tell me what platform the train is? And everyone is so helpful. It's an eye-opener that people just support everyone if they need that extra bit of help. So yeah, I'd say that there's always going to be challenges, but I took the positive out of them.
Good. We're very friendly up north. We're renowned for it, so I'm pleased that they showed you that when you're up in Manchester. Now in my office, I've got this fabulous poster of yourself in your Great Britain swimming kit prior to the Rio Olympics. And I have to say, if I was racing you and I looked at that, I'd be quite worried, because I think you really look like you mean business, and that would probably psych me out a little bit. And I want to draw attention to this phrase at the bottom: it's ability, not disability, that matters, because I think that's an incredibly important message for young people to remember. Now, you've mentioned earlier about your visual impairment, and you've told us a little bit about how that affects and makes life more challenging for you. Do you feel, in terms of the way people treat you, do you think that you get treated differently, either positively or negatively, because of your impaired vision?
I'd say that I've had a very mixed experience throughout my life so far. When I was younger at school, I was, presented to bullying. I was bullied quite a bit at school. In my later years at primary, secondary, a little bit, and college was actually the worst. So, young people and young adults, the understanding of impairment, the understanding of visual impairment as it being a invisible disability, it has thrown challenges, but it has made me a stronger person. And I'd also say that leading on from there, so that was around 2011, 2012, when the Paralympic Games was shown on home soil, it opened people's eyes, I feel. It made a massive legacy and helped people, understand that perception of disability and understand that, when we're no different to anyone else, it doesn't stop us from achieving anything. As you mentioned there, it's ability, not disability, that matters, and it's a motto which I live by throughout my life. Yes, I've got a visual impairment, but it's not stopped me from achieving any of my dreams. And, you know, it's just maybe the education of the up and coming generation, which it's just, you know, trying to understand and learn that, you know, people might have or might have to have things adapted a little bit, but it won't ever stop them from achieving their dreams. And I think that that is being taught really well nowadays. And each Paralympic Games, I think, has, you know, progressed in the understanding and helped people really understand and just respect people with disability as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's lack of education, but things have moved on hugely since 2011, and I hope that continues, because it's what we talk about at Beelieve Foundation. Education from the earliest age to help people, to give people the knowledge and the understanding and the skills is what it's all about. So hopefully the younger people coming up now who have a disability of any form won't suffer that same type of negative impact or treatment that perhaps you and many others have had. I
think that the ability and the motto which I highlighted is so important to just share with the youngsters, the generation which are up and coming, and even in schools, that, you know, highlight people's ability, what they can do, put away the negativity, and, you know, throw that bit on its side over your shoulder. And I think that's really important, and people are definitely, well, I'm seeing it in primary schools now, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, fabulous. And now you've touched a little bit on this earlier. We talked about obstacles, and having limited vision is clearly a significant obstacle when you're a high performance athlete. So can you tell us mentally and emotionally how you've managed to deal with every obstacle that you've managed to overcome? How do you manage to keep going and organise your mind so that you don't get set back permanently? So
going back a couple of years, in 2019, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and I took a step back from swimming. I lost my love for swimming, and I think the resilience which I built, that is something which has helped me overcome challenges. I bounced back, I received the support, and asking for help is really important. You know, even in sport, at school, in any situation, if you're struggling, it could be struggling with work in the classroom or something outside of school, it's just so important to ask for that help. And I feel that if you do, you've got that support bubble around you. You don't even know how many people, you know, care for you until you actually open up, and everyone is just willing to help. And I think that has helped me, you know, overcome things. It's helped me become more resilient, and I think that's one of the main things which has helped me, you know, just push through and overcome all the barriers.
Yeah, I think we're into a real key point here, because education and awareness about disability is increasing, but I think also education and awareness around mental health and well-being. We've been a long way behind where we should be. I think now people are starting to understand that emotions are normal, that having emotional problems are normal. We say to young people, if you were going to take part in a sporting competition and you had a muscle injury, torn hamstring, you'd quite happily say, I've got a torn hamstring, I can't play. But in the same way, you might not be feeling emotionally well. Mm-hmm. And we haven't been able to talk about that the same way, but talking and educating and understanding that our mind is a very powerful organ will help people, I think, to understand better and to move things forward, so that these conversations become a normal part of everyday life, which is what they have to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So just to relate to what you've just mentioned there, coping strategies is something else which I really focus on, and every year I will focus on setting goals, setting achievable goals, which I think is really important. Not ones which, you know, are a milestone away, something which you can achieve, something which, you know, will positively motivate you.
Yeah, fantastic. And I just want to revisit one little point you made, so we can make sure the young people have got this. The fact that life isn't a smooth, easy road. You will get setbacks, there will be barriers and obstacles, and you've proven that resilience. You've had to overcome, you know, an additional issue in terms of your sight, but you've proven that being determined and being resilient and learning from the tough times has really helped shape you as a young lady, and maybe the person you are. So maybe if we can just reiterate that to young people, that sometimes the hard times are actually longer term benefit you the most?
Yeah, definitely. So throughout my career, I've obviously had a bumpy road, and the hard times which I've faced has actually made me a much stronger person. I've learned so much from those times, and the resilience, I just bounce back, I reevaluate, I focus, and it just makes me so much stronger. And yeah, nothing stops me. If something doesn't go right, what I tend to do is I will box it up and throw it over my shoulder. Not all the time everything will go right. There'll be days where there'll be good days, bad days. If something doesn't go well, whether it's in sport, whether it's in school, box it up, forget about it, and just start again. It's okay to start again.
Absolutely is okay. And if we just pick up the box analogy, because we often talk about young people and the opposite side of that, not putting themselves in a box so they think they can only do one thing and not explore outside of the box.
Yeah.
And obviously you've proven you moved away from home, you've studying, you've now got a degree, which is wonderful. So maybe that's just a message to young people that don't think that I can only do one thing or I can't do anything different. So if we talk about mental health and emotional well-being, which is what Beelieve Foundation is all about, helping young people be stronger, be more positive and build a brighter future for themselves. Everybody at Holy Family School and Beelieve Foundation is obviously so incredibly proud of everything you've achieved, both in your studies up in Manchester and your swimming career. You are a proper inspirational role model for our children. They absolutely love you. They talk about you all the time. And I think one of the things I mentioned earlier, you've sustained that success and that determination and that drive over many years. But I think it's fair to say that everybody who knows you has never been prouder of you, ever, than when you stood up and talked about your challenges and your problems. And the other thing that we absolutely admire about you and just makes you inspirational is that the fact that you're a thoughtful, caring, warm and very humble young lady. And going back to talking about young people, about what should make you feel good about yourself, it's not just about the winning, it's about the type of human being you are and the influence you can have on other people's lives. And if you were sitting here with no gold medals, but with your Great Britain tracksuit on, we'd still be every bit as proud of you as we are. So at the Tokyo Games, you came out and started to speak about your challenges. Why did you feel it was important to speak then? Was that just the right time for you?
I personally feel that it was just a reflection of my journey this time round up to the Tokyo 2020 Games. And I feel it was really important at that point to just, reach out and explain to the public, explain to the wider public that, the journey won't always be easy. And I wanted to just show that never give up. Yes, there might be challenges thrown at you, but it's just about reevaluating and making sure that you ask for the help, that you have the support behind you, and nothing will ever stop you from achieving.
Yeah. Looking back, you talked about the anxiety and stress meant you fell out of love with swimming for a little while. Were you aware at the time that things were getting a little bit too difficult for you emotionally, or did it just creep up on you and suddenly hit you?
So going back a couple of years, I remember quite well, I started to lose the love for swimming, and I didn't have that purpose to get out of bed in the morning, that I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't feel that there was a reason. I didn't, I just felt lost. I didn't really know what my purpose was. And it was at that point where I thought to myself, this isn't me. I need to ask for help. And, it was a massive step. And when I was scared to ask for help at the start, I didn't want to, I didn't really know where to go. But when I did ask for help and reach out, that was the best thing I did, because actually the support I received was, second to best. It was amazing.
Yeah, what Hannah's just said about being scared to go and ask for help and open experience for people who are struggling. But there are so many people who just want to help. And I think breaking down that barrier. So I think that's a message we'd like to give to young people. If you do feel as though you're struggling, if you're losing your passion for something, you haven't got any enthusiasm, go and talk to an adult or somebody you really trust in a place where you feel comfortable. And all of a sudden, as Hannah has proven, things will begin to change and things will begin to get better. And that's a really key message that we've got for you today. we're very passionate at Beelieve Foundation about educating children and young people from an early age that they're going to have a range of emotions, and that's perfectly fine. We want to give them all the skills and the knowledge and the understanding and strategies to deal positively with their own emotions, but those of the emotions of those around them, because that's very important. How far do you think we are down the road of being open and honest enough about mental health, or are there still too many major stigmas around?
I personally feel that we're on the journey, to improving mental health, young people's mental health, and just the wider population. I think that people are starting to speak out a bit more, which is really positive. You've seen it a lot in sport of recent, and I think that's only the start, and it can only improve from there. And knowing that so many schools and there's foundations trying to push that is really important. You at Beelieve being able to, positively, reflect that onto the children is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's been a huge, for us as a mental health charity, a small one in particular, and we work obviously in my head teacher role in schools. We really needed something to happen in terms of the high profile celebrities or sports stars. We saw what the Marcus Rashford thing did for food, and then people like Simone Biles and Ben Stokes coming out and talking about their mental health and emotional well-being issues has broken down a huge barrier. And I just hope now that it snowballs and it becomes embedded in every school culture, that the most important thing we can do for our children is to look after their well-being and make sure they're happy. Because as you've shown, if you're happy, you can do whatever you want in life. Mm-hmm. Well, look, Hannah, it's I think we've sort of come to the end of our chat for now. It's been an absolute pleasure always to talk to you. You're such an engaging young lady, and you mean so much to this school and to Beelieve Foundation. We're exceptionally proud to know you. What's next for you in terms of your swimming career first?
So for me, my next goal is the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in 2022. Throughout my swimming career, I have gone to Paralympic Games, I've gone to the European Championships, World Championships, and there's one missing. And this is my first opportunity where my event, a visually impaired event, has been included in the Commonwealth Games. So I've never had actually the opportunity to strive towards the competition itself. So I'm really excited to, have that opportunity to qualify for my first Commonwealth Games. And something else to add is the Commonwealth Games is a all-inclusive event, so the Paralympic swimmers and the able-bodied swimmers all come together in the one event. So typically maybe at the Paralympic Games it's all disabled athletes competing at the competition for the 10 days. At the Commonwealth Games, the programme, the schedule itself, you'll have all of the events mixed in. So I'm really excited to just have that opportunity to be able to mix with all the athletes. Yeah,
it looks fantastic. Parents and children, tickets are on sale now, so get yourself in. I think it's late July, early August when Hannah's swimming. So Birmingham, it's only up the road. Let's get up there and give Hannah a big cheer. I have to say that a couple of years ago I was wondering why you hadn't won a Commonwealth Games. And I was looking through who on earth won these races if Hannah didn't, and it was only then I realised that it hadn't ever been in, your event wasn't in the Commonwealth Games. So again, another sign that things are moving forward and we're starting to be far more inclusive in sport. And what about, obviously your studies are finished, so you're now, I guess, looking for some sort of career? What have you got in store?
So aside from my swimming, when I decide to hang up my hand goggles, I have got my undergrad degree in sports science, and I'd love to become a primary school teacher. It's been a huge aspiration of mine on the side, and I'm looking to hopefully do a teacher training course on the job. So that's sort of, I'm starting to look into that at the moment for as and when I decide to retire from swimming.
Wow, you've heard it here first. Isn't that amazing? We haven't got enough primary teachers anyway. We certainly haven't got enough inspirational young role model teachers like yourself. You'll make a fantastic teacher, I'm sure. So good luck with that, and maybe we might have more information for you that in the next year or so, once you've got another medal under your belt, maybe in Birmingham. I've got one final question, Hannah. Perhaps it's maybe more of a request, really. Beelieve Foundation, we've been looking for someone to be our first official ambassador. somebody who we can really connect to, because we're very much about connection, someone who we know will inspire other people and has the same values as us. So we just think you've got everything that Beelieve stands for, so we'd be really honoured if you would be happy to be our first official wellbeing ambassador for Beelieve Foundation. Would you like to join?
That would be amazing. Yes, please.
Oh,
amazing. That would be brilliant.
It won't be too much work for you. We won't
No.
be knowing you under with work, but I think that's
Thank you so
an
much.
exclusive for you, everybody. Hannah has just accepted the offer of being our first wellbeing ambassador. We're absolutely thrilled. We have a trustees meeting next week when we can share that news. But thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being such a wonderful human being. To us, that's even more important than the medals. The medals are fantastic and we're so proud, but you are such an incredible human being. And we always say, as you know, once you're in Holy Family, you're always there. We're proud of you, and thank you for going out worldwide and showing everybody what a Holy Family child is really like. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.